Just as the ceremony was ending, the unthinkable happened. Mr. Francis collapsed. The hall, once filled with music and laughter, turned eerily silent. Gasps filled the air as guests rushed to his side. "Someone call an ambulance," Ikem shouted, his voice shaking. Blessing knelt beside Mr. Francis, holding his hand. "Sir, please stay with us." Tears streamed down her face. The paramedic arrived swiftly and carried him away. Blessing and Ikem followed closely behind, their heart pounding like the drums of an ancient festival. At the hospital, the doctor examined him, his expression grave. Moments later, he emerged from the emergency room. The look in his eyes sent a chill through Blessing's spine. "I am sorry," the doctor whispered. "Mr. Francis is gone." Blessing wailed, her cry echoing through the hallway. Ikem clutched her tightly, his own tears falling freely. "This can't be happening," Ikem muttered. People began murmuring. "He was just fine a moment ago," one said. "Life is like a candle in the wind," another added. But nothing could turn back the hands of the time. However, as per Mr. Francis' instruction, the doctor kept his body in a private room for 2 days without embalming. It was an unusual request, but the doctor had sworn an oath to follow his wishes. Blessing and her family begged for the body, but the doctor showed them the signed instruction. "He wanted you to go for your honeymoon," he told them. "But how can we celebrate when a man we called father is gone?" Blessing sober. "Honor his last wish," the doctor said silently. Meanwhile, the lawyer, though hesitated, fulfilled another Mr. Francis' unusual request. His will was read just hours his death. After his death, "He made me swear an oath on my life," the lawyer explained. The will left everyone in tears. Mr. Francis had given his wealth generously. His servant received a portion, as did Blessing's mother and grandmother. The doctor, who had been a friend and a faithful one, was also included. To Ikem, he gave financial security, and to Blessing, he left the bulk of his wealth, his mansion, lands and business, vast fortune. He was truly a man with a heart of gold, someone whispered. Just when the doctor was preparing for the burial, Mr. Francis suddenly sneezed. The nurses on duty were shocked and afraid to go to the room. They came running into his office, their face pale. "Doctor, he sneezed," they stammered. Doctor shot up from his chair. "Who?" "Mr. Francis." With a pounding heart, the doctor rushed to the room. There, sitting upright on the bed, was Mr. Francis, gasping for breath. The doctor clutched his chest. This isn't possible." But it was real. Mr. Francis was alive. He was quickly moved to another private room and attended to. Mr. Francis later narrated what happened in the realm of the spirit and how he came back to life again. He instructed the doctor not to inform Blessing and her family to allow them enjoy their honeymoon. After medical investigation, it was confirmed that Mr. Francis is free from leukemia. Doctor willingly released all Mr. Francis gave him and also pleaded with him to stay in his house until he put himself together. The doctor also advised him to collect part of what he gave to people to start a new life with it, but he said no. He then narrated how he was entering a big gate in the realm of the spirit when suddenly an angel appeared and instructed him to go back, that God has given him a second chance to live because of his good work, the good work he has done. The angel urged him to continue doing good. He said he would like to travel overseas and start a new life. But something divine happened. Weeks later, a woman rushed an unconscious young man to the hospital. The doctor looked at the man and recognized him. Then he quickly called Mr. Francis to come to the hospital immediately. Mr. Francis arrived and stepped into the room. The moment his eyes fell on the young man, he stumbled backwards, clutching his chest. "This Soshi, my son?" The woman, confused, explained, "I found him years ago near an accident scene. He had no memory of who he was, so I took him in." Tears welled in Mr. Francis' eyes. He knelt before Soshi, taking his hand. "Son, it's me, your father." The reunion was emotional. Mr. Francis had thought he had lost everything, but there was his flesh and blood returned to him by faith. Days later, just as Mr. Francis pondered what to do next, he received an international call. "The trust fund you deposited years ago has matured. The amount is substantial." It was more money than he had ever imagined. Blessing and Ikem, upon hearing the news, were overjoyed. Blessing immediately offered to return everything he had given her. Mr. Francis smiled and shook his head. "I only want the mansion. It holds the memories that will help Soshi regain his past." Within months, Soshi's memory returned. He remembered his childhood, his father's love, and the life he had once lived. And just like that, everything fell into place. Mr. Francis, Blessing, Ikem, and Soshi formed an unbreakable family bond. The mansion became a home once more, filled with laughter and love. One evening, as they sat on the balcony watching the sunset, Blessing turned to Mr. Francis. "You came back to us for a reason," she said softly. Mr. Francis smiled. "Perhaps I did. And as long as I have breath in my body, I will continue to do good." And so, the man who once faced death found a new reason to live. And they all live happily ever after. The end. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel to support me. God bless you abundantly. Bye-bye.